Shalom, friends, and it's nice to be with you again on what looks like a fairly overcast day today. Incidentally, this marks more than 1 year that we've been coming to you every Tuesday afternoon and spending a few minutes together in various topics of Judaism, various topics of Jewish spirituality. Now in a year, for one year. So I wanted to take a moment and reflect a little bit on something maybe totally unexpected. This is today a day where I happen to be pet sitting. That's right. My son and his family are out of town, and we are pet sitting their little dog named Bob. Now, Bob's a wonderful dog and has been with them for many years and has stayed with us on a number of occasions. But as I took Bob out today, I was thinking to myself, well, what's Jewish about keeping a pet? And what does Judaism say about having pets? I've heard people say, and maybe you have too, that Jews don't keep dogs. Well, that's not exactly true. Pet ownership is certainly allowed, and even though there may be some who have superstitions or hesitation about keeping a pet, I think that it is a perfectly Jewish thing to do, and that our pets teach us real lessons in love and caring, and lessons in empathy, and lessons in intuition and understanding. Because if you've had a pet, you know that sometimes we can communicate with our pets in a number of ways. Well, you might ask, but what about the tradition? What about Jewish laws? Are there laws about pet ownership? And in fact, the Talmud does, in fact, speak about keeping some kinds of pets, cats, and dogs, because they could be useful in keeping a home free from vermin, and certainly that might be the case in ancient Judaism and in medieval Judaism, but in general, pets, especially in the modern era, were understood that pets were something that would comfort us, something that brings pleasure. Pets were something that demonstrates our caring for the natural world. And that, of course, is explicitly encouraged in the world that we live in. That is, that we should care for our animals and care for our animals. So what, you might ask me, well, what does Judaism say about spaying or neutering a pet? I mean, can Jews spay or neuter a pet? And in fact, rabbinic authorities have talked about where is it permitted, and they have permitted the spaying of female animals, because with the understanding that overpopulation actually would bring suffering to the animal population. And so that spaying and neutering is a way of being able to reduce animal suffering. Well, what about Shabbat and owning a pet? What does Shabbat bring us any issues with regards to pets? In fact, the Torah in the book of Exodus in chapter 20 stipulates that we must let our animals rest on Shabbat and holidays. And so if we do have pets, we must let them rest. Not many of us require our pets to turn on lights or cook, but if we did have animals that turned on lights or cook, they would not be allowed to do that on Shabbat. If you're lucky enough to have a pet that goes out and brings you the newspaper, according to strict halakha, that is not prohibited, since a dog is not allowed to carry, just like human beings are not allowed to carry on Shabbat. Nevertheless, using a leash under certain limitations is allowed, even on Shabbat, and keeping your animal from escaping is allowed, even on Shabbat. And another question that comes up sometimes is do you have to feed your dog kosher food? And the answer is that your dog does not, or cat does not have to eat kosher food, except there is a prohibition about mixing of milk and meat. So I wouldn't give your animal a glass of milk with a meat meal. But I think there are plenty of alternatives to that. We are encouraged in Judaism to treat our animals with respect and with love. And yet, as far as Jewish rituals go, there are not many Jewish rituals regarding our animals. For example, there's not a funeral service regarding our animals. Some have asked me over the years, can I say kaddish for my dog or cat? And I have answered for those who've asked that yes, you can say kaddish for a dog or cat. Kaddish is a prayer that we say. It's a prayer about faith. We say it in memory or in honor, to honor those who we love, and we love our pets. So I have said, of course, you may say kaddish for a pet, and that is, I think. One other question that has sometimes come up is are you required to give a bark mitzvah to a dog or that turns 13 years old? And no, you are not required to give a bark mitzvah to a dog. But some people, with a tongue in cheek, certainly do try and incorporate, I think in a humorous way, a way of celebrating the lives of their pets. Our pets are a blessing, and let's remember that our tradition is about blessings. Now, as we come to the end of our 7 minutes together today, we always end with the Mourner's Kaddish, and I invite you to say Mourner's Kaddish with me as we take a moment for our prayer. Yitgadal ve'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah. Bi'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabam Varach Le'olam Le'amei Amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitboar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yidadar v'yidaleh v'yidalal Shemei D'Kudisha B'riachu. Li'ela min kol berchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba min Shemaya. B'chayim olenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Wishing you a week ahead of peace. And may our world, as we ended this prayer, may our world see the blessings of peace, not only for Israel, but for the entire world. And let us say, Amen. Thank you, friends, for being with me. Have a wonderful evening. Incidentally, if you want to catch my class tonight, we'll be broadcasting. It'll be here on the Zoom, our regular Zoom channel at 7 o'clock, or on live stream, and also recorded for playback in the future. That is our class at 7 p.m. Have a good week, friends. Thank you.
Thank you.